DorkLair. Welcome to another DorkLair action figure review. Today I'm taking a look at the Mezco 112 Collective Conan the Barbarian. So long overdue, this Mezco Conan has been on pre-order for nearly 2 years. I gotta say the wait is probably worth it. This thing went up in January of 2020, and of course, long delays are very frustrating for collectors, especially people if you paid up front right when it came out. To have your money sitting there for 18 plus months can be frustrating. I totally understand. But for the most part, this figure, as far as I'm concerned, came out great. It's a beautiful sculpt. Looks straight out of the Frank Frazetta painting that it's based on. And it's got good articulation. Of course, it's got these single jointed elbows that I think some people really hate. But the way they've done it on this figure, I think it works pretty well. Tons of awesome accessories, all with incredible detail. Just beautiful, beautiful figure. I am super pumped to have this in my collection and looking forward to this one. So let's get into this review. Let's kick it off with a look at the packaging. Here's the front of the box. We got just, as expected, I would expect nothing else but front and center, the Frank Frazetta painting that the figure is based on. And it looks good. The print is great. It's nice, vibrant. I think it captures that painting well. Here's a little sort of faded out version of it on the side. We have sort of all the accessories and the layout of the figure. Things are a little bit different. The cloak is different. The chainmail looks like it's a different sort of shape to it. It looks like the original was going to be like a sculpted plastic, but now it's actually chain. And probably the biggest gripe, I guess, would be that this piece right here, the necklace, is not paint, doesn't have all the paint apps that it was advertised as having. So a few little differences there, but you can see some of the promo pics on the back. And then we have another version of the faded out artwork on the side. So yeah, it's your standard Mezco box, but with the Frank Frazetta art on the front. This is one that I am going to keep, even though I normally tend to toss my standard release Mezco boxes because they take up so much space. This one I'll be hanging on to. Okay, up next, let's take a look at the details, getting nice up and close here on Conan's head sculpt. Really nice. It's just so detailed and intricate, and you have all these scars and wrinkles. And they did fix it, like I think the promo pics had him with brown eyes, which Conan has blue eyes, but they did fix that, so that's a nice little update they made. A lot of people sent them messages. They're just like, Conan had blue eyes, so they probably listened and took care of that. One of the places where I don't think they didn't go heavy enough is on the necklace itself. Like, that's bone, and in the picture it's bone, but it almost looks like a dark gunmetal. And I feel like they could have added, maybe they missed a paint app, like a dry brush of some like bone colored white on the top of these things. But the crow skull or whatever kind of bird skull that is, and then those like teeth, I wish those had more paint. They do have a little bit of paint, but I wish they had more so they don't look black. Like, if you kind of back away, it just looks like those are unpainted black pieces. And I feel like maybe there was a paint app missed there. The sculpt work is great though. It's a cool little necklace, and it is removable. Taking a look at these arms. This armband is not removable. It's part of the sculpt. And then this bracer is also part of the sculpt there. So fortunately you cannot remove those. So it kind of limits a little bit what you can do in terms of body swaps and creating your own characters. Getting into the belt here, this is Mezco for you. Just look at the details on that belt. Really incredible. And this belt is removable. It's got these little hooks that you can use to strap the sword on, like I had in the initial photo. The cloth goods have great weathering. They really do feel like pelts or whatever kind of leathery material he would be using for his loincloth. And then you can get a look at the legs, a lot of that same scarring and detail in his boots right here, sort of that like swashbuckler kind of boot going on, and just painted well. Tons of intricate little details in the sculpt work. This is a figure that really stands on its own for Mezco as far as grit factor. I mean, maybe Hellboy, there might be one or two other ones that have that same level of grit as this thing, or grim kind of like realism, I guess. But it's just, wow, just a cool figure. And here's a wider shot of Conan so you can get a sense of his silhouette. A look at him from the side. Here he is from the back. from the other side, and again to the front. And now let's take a look at Conan next to a few other figures. In appropriate Halloween mode, here are a couple scary guys. On the left, we have Nosferatu, and on the right, we have Doc Nocturnal. Here he is with Batman and Gomez. Gomez is slightly taller, and Batman is slightly shorter than Conan. Here he is next to Mezco Hellboy and the Storm Collectibles Skeleton. The skeletons are really tall. Like the Storm stuff says 112, but it is a lot taller than most 112 figures. Here's Conan next to Mosquatch and King Kong, which I have a red cloak on to make him look like Thok from Rogues in the House. Next up, here he is next to Atlas from Mythic Legions on the left, and the Conan from the comic books from Super 7 on the right. And this is where, like, even though I think Conan is probably properly sized for Mezco, I do kind of wish it was slightly bigger, just to, you know, as my own selfish desire to mix it in a little bit more with my other action figure lines. Here's Conan next to a couple giants, a couple big boys. On the left is Balthor the Half Giant from Mythic Legions with a custom Max Bird cape on there. And on the right is the Death Adder from Storm Collectibles Golden Axe line. And finally, here's Conan next to the Mythic Legions horse Balius. And here he is on top of Balius. So a little bit smaller than I would have wanted, but horses come in all sizes. I feel like this can actually work. He's already big for the Mythic Legions figures. So, I mean, this is a big horse, however you look at it. And I think it doesn't look too bad. It just looks like it's a massive horse. I'd rather the horse be too big than too small. Next, let's take a look at the accessories. First up, he comes with this shield. Very nicely sculpted. Not a ton of paintwork, but it does look like metal. It looks like hammered metal that's been weathered over time. Their sword sheaths are awesome. So first up, he comes with this straight sword that has this really just detailed sheath with lots of gold and silver paint on it. Got these little chain attachments that I'll talk about in a moment. And then the sword here is very nicely weathered. Again, it looks like chipped and just weathered sword that is just completely utilitarian, something Conan would definitely use. Nicely done. Really nice weapons here. The other sword he comes with is this curved, longer sword. Again, a lot of the same kind of detailing on the sheath there. Same kind of chains, and the sword itself has a gold handle. Something he'd have in his like sea adventures, I feel like. He's also got a knife with a sheath, and then this has a loop that you can put around his belt. And here's how that knife looks. And I love the handle of that knife. It's got such detail with that like vulture head or whatever that is. He's also got a shoulder strap. You can swap it on like this. And then here's another quick look at the necklace that I feel is like a little underpainted in the bone parts of it. His axe has like some wooden parts, like right in there is like a wooden color. It might be hard to pick up because it is a very dark wood that goes along with that really dark metal. And then it's got some, cloth straps on there too that give it a lot of realism. And it does have this little piece that you can slide through the axe handle, and then it's got a clip that can kind of go on to his belt or onto one of the chains or something. You can take his belt off right here, and then you can pull his loincloth off. So I'm going to pull that off camera just so I don't spend 10 minutes trying to get it off. And there we have with the chainmail on there, and I think that looks fantastic. I probably will prefer to just have him like this on my shelf. And then maybe, I like him a little more armored up, I don't know. I like this chainmail because it's actual chainmail, it's actual metal. Nice shiny look to it. He's also got these two little clips that you can use to attach the various weapons to his belts and stuff. And the way I had it in my opening shot, I had this clip clipped on here. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it on camera here. And then I had this clip directly onto the metal part there, onto that hook there. And then I clipped it over here so that it was hanging sort of at the right angle to look like it does in that painting, so that it's kind of like this. And then he comes with this poncho style cloak type thing. It doesn't go down very far. It's much different than the one in the promo pics, but it has some really nice weathering. It's a pretty good looking piece. I'm not sure I'll pose him a lot with it on there. It just feels like, I don't know. I don't really love how it's cinched around here. I guess you can maybe use that to pull it back a little bit, but I don't like the way that cinching looks over here. And I don't know, I just don't, like, Conan doesn't really need it. Unless he's going to be, like, fully armored. Like, I don't know. He doesn't really need, like, a cloak like that. And then here's his alternate head sculpt. This is awesome. Just a sweet action head. I love this head sculpt. I think it's great. It's got the different hair flowing. Like I could see this one on him riding a horse, or this one him swinging a sword, or swinging that axe, wielding the shield. This is the action head right here. Of course, he comes with the peg stand that you can swap out with the flight arm. Peg stand's got that wonderful artwork on there, of course. And the extra hands that he comes with, he's got sort of clawing hands right here. And then he's got, I don't know, these are sort of relaxed hands, but they could also be maybe cradling something over here. And then he's got a pair of gripping hands for holding the weapons. Okay, finally, let's take a look at the articulation on Conan. And even though his head is on one of these neck pieces that's separate, it does not really move very much. Unless mine's stuck or something, there's just not a lot of room for it to go anywhere. But it does have that double ball at the top, and he can look down, he can look up, and kind of side to side. The hair is going to get in the way, but it is soft enough to kind of like work with a little bit. Taking a look at the shoulders, out of the box, everything is just super smooth. He can swing his arm all the way around. Unfortunately, no butterfly joints. There is a swivel at the bicep. There is a single jointed elbow that can go pretty much right to 90, maybe just slightly past 90. This side might go a little more because it doesn't have that. This side doesn't have that that arm bracer sculpted into it there. But looking at the wrist, he's got the hinge and swivel action on the wrist. Up into the torso, upper torso crunch. Can come forward and back. Can go side to side. Can twist. And then he's got a crunch at the waist. A lot of good action in the waist. So if we get him forward, he can go that far. And then if we swing him all the way back. So pretty good motion all up in that torso there. And he can kick his leg way up. It comes out to the side a little bit, but pretty far forward. There's a twist at the top of the leg, double jointed knees. You can move the boot a little bit. I don't know if it's supposed to move, but a little action there at the boot. And then you can twist the feet, and he's got ankle rockers, pretty ample ankle rockers there. Lots of good movement in this figure. There's no clothing really to like get in the way, so he moves really well. Of course, he's only got the single elbows, no butterfly joints. But other than that, I think this figure has excellent articulation, and I'm very happy with his articulation. And I'm very happy with this figure overall. Again, it was a long wait, but in my opinion, I'd say it was worth the wait. This figure is fantastic. It came out great. Tons of awesome accessories, lots of just excellent detail. You know, it's a 112 figure, and you think, oh, it's just a sculpted figure. There's not a lot of cloth. Why is it $90? I think it's worth it. I think he just comes loaded with awesome stuff. And it's a great buy for $90. Unfortunately, right now it's sold out, and there's not a lot of places you can buy it. However, I will say this, it has not really hit retailers yet. As of this video, sort of towards the end of October, I think once we get into November, maybe December, and retailers actually start getting these in, it might become a little easier to find. But for now, I just would say don't even bother trying to trade for it, at least, because people are going to be asking a lot for this figure because nobody has extras. It was essentially made to order, it seems like. It was not something that is going to get stocked heavily, and it's just going to be hard to find one for now. I'm getting the vibe that like KG Beast had, that Iron Fist had, like these standard releases that were really hard to find and that were kind of high in the aftermarket. But maybe, you know, once it's out fully, maybe in a couple months and people are sort of like over with the big hype train around it, maybe it'll settle down and you'll be able to find it. If you're diligent, you will find retailers that will have it. Not every retailer puts them up for pre-order. Some retailers do buy them ahead of time and then they just put them up on their site. So be on the hunt. I wish you luck. And until next time, may the force be with you. Follow me into the